Hey guys, in this video we're going to go ahead and start talking about projectile motion, and they have to do part of quadratic word problems. Ok muchachos, en este video vamos a estar hablando de problemas que tienen que relacionarse con cuadráticos, específicamente con proyectiles. Okay. Now if you notice, let's say we have a projectile, right? We throw it up in the air, it goes up, it reaches its height, and then it comes back down. And if you notice, this has this parabola shape upside down, going up and then going down. Entonces, como pueden ver, si yo lanzo alguna pelota o algo, entonces sube, llega hasta arriba y después baja. So what you notice is the top part is called the vertex. It's just the highest peak. And it's modeled by this function, okay? Now, T stands for time. V sub 0 is called your initial velocity. V 0, la V0 es la velocidad inicial y la S0 quiere decir la altura inicial. So V sub 0, or sometimes the professor will say V sub naught, and then S sub naught. V sub naught is the initial velocity, S sub naught is the initial height. Okay, now this negative 16 is always going to be there. Why? Because that has to do with the gravitational constant. Remember that as you throw something up in the air, it's going to come down because of gravity. And that has to do with the negative 16. Now, this formula here has to do with feet per second. Sometimes you'll see like negative 4.98. That's because it has to do with the metric unit. So 4.98 has to do with meters per second. Okay? So this is all with respect to time. Okay? Now, one thing I want you to see here, okay? Vertex, okay? If you've been following me, the vertex, I've showed you how to graph quadratics. But one thing you're going to have to know about the vertex, there's one way to figure out the vertex, is using this little formula here. X is equal to negative b over 2a. So this is going to give you the vertex. Este te va a dar la vértice. Esta es otra forma de encontrar el vértice. Porque muchos de estos cuadráticos van a tener decimales, van a ser de otra forma. Entonces, algunas veces es muy difícil escribirlos de otra forma, entonces es más fácil directamente agarrar el vértice. So sometimes I've taught you to rewrite the quadratic into graphing form and find the vertex, but sometimes when you have decimals, it's going to be hard, and so it's a lot easier just to use this formula and be able to see it right away. So let's go ahead and see if we can look at an example. But what you want to go ahead and do is, the idea behind these projectile motion problems is basically you want to set the equation equal to what they're asking you. So if they're asking you how long does it take to hit the ground, then you set it equal to 0 because the ground is equal to 0. If they ask you how long does it take for it to reach 100 feet, then you set it equal to 100. If they ask you how long does it take to reach the maximum height, well, the maximum height is the vertex. So first you have to find this, and then you have to use that to figure out the height. But let's go ahead and see if we can do some examples here. A ball is kicked up in the air. Una pelota la patearon hacia arriba en el aire. It models a function given by h of t equals this. How long would it take for the ball to reach the ground? ¿Cuánto dilataría para que la bola llegue al piso? El piso es 0, es igual a 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this guy equal to, lo voy a igualar. I'm going to set it equal to 0 plus 128 is equal to 0. Now what am I going to do? Ahora qué voy a hacer? Well, you're going to need to factor and solve. Lo voy a tener que resolver. Now remember, it says how long would it take? That means I have to find t. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to factor this. Now the first thing, is there a number that goes into all three? The answer is yes, a 16. El 16 le entra a todos los tres. And actually what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and divide it, okay? So let me go ahead and do it this way. So if you notice right here, 16 goes into all of them, 16 goes into 32, and 16 goes into 128. Now you see this negative here, este negativo, también lo voy a sacar. I'm going to go ahead and factor it out also because it makes my factoring a lot easier. Entonces voy a quitarle el 16 negativo. So I'm going to factor it. I'm going to be left with t squared minus 2t menos 2t minus, and I think that is 8. Creo que es 8, 48, yeah, 8. Okay. So now I can go ahead and continue factoring. Entonces ahora puedo factorizar esto. Entonces esto me va a dar, this is going to give me t minus 4 and t plus 2. Me va a dar 10, t menos 4 y t más 2. ¿Qué le pasó al 16? Nomás está afuera. Okay, so now we got this and we're going to solve it. Ahora lo vamos a resolver. So remember, we're going to use the 0 property. We're going to set it equal to 0. And we're going to do that for both of them. Vamos a hacer eso por dos, okay? So now this guy, este se convierte en t igual a 4. Y este se convierte en t igual a menos 2. Now remember, we're talking about real life situation. Time is not negative. You know, if they ask you how long did it take you to go to the store? Oh, it took me negative 10 minutes. No, there's no such thing. So right away we understand that t cannot be this one, okay? It cannot be this one. So what happens? My only answer is this guy, 4 seconds. How long does it take the ball to get to the ground? It takes 4 seconds, okay? Now, if you notice, maybe this is 128. What does that mean? ¿Qué quiere decir esto? I just want to show this to you. That means that it starts at 128, you know, whatever feet up in the air. So maybe this guy's up on a building somewhere. A lo mejor está arriba de un edificio, right? Maybe, let's see, let's draw it right here. Right? Maybe the ground is over here, right there. Aquí está el piso. A lo mejor está en el edificio acá arriba. So here comes the ball. It goes up and then it comes down. Okay? So esta distancia, this distance is 128 feet. Why? Because of the plus 128. And if you notice, this is a projectile that goes up and comes down, and it would be 4 seconds. Okay? So let's go ahead and see if we can do a couple more, and just to kind of look at it, and hopefully you get the hang of it. Vamos a hacer otro más. And this one I broke it down into 3 parts, okay? Okay, it says, a ball is thrown into the air with the initial upward velocity of 24 feet per second. Tenemos una pelota que la tira una pelota a lo mejor de béisbol. And inicialmente la velocidad es 24 pies por segundo. The height is in feet after t seconds is given by this function, okay? So notice that's the velocity, esa es la velocidad. Aquí es donde comienza. Parece que este puede ser, maybe this is a little boy throwing the ball up in the air, right? This is about 4 feet high. So this is a little ball throwing the ball up, okay? So now it says how long before the ball reaches the ground. So remember, what's the ground? The ground is 0. So we're going to go ahead and take this equation, vamos a tomar la ecuación, and we're going to set it equal to 0, okay? Lo vamos a igualar a 0, okay? And we're going to go ahead and solve it. Vamos a resolver esto. Now, the first thing I want to do is there anything that I can factor out? And the answer is yes. Puedo factorizar el 4, porque el 4 le entra a cada uno. Y le voy a quitar el negativo también. I'm going to take out the negative. So now what do? Well, let's see here. We're going to take out the negative 4. And you're going to be left with 4t squared minus 6t minus 1 equals to 0. Okay? And now you got to figure out, can I factor this? Ahora voy a ver, ¿puedo factorizar esto? Y la respuesta es no, no se puede. And the answer is no, you can't factor it. Why not? Well, because it's just a quadratic. So what do you do now? Entonces, ¿qué hago ahora? So now you have 2 choices, quadratic formula or complete the square. Entonces tengo dos formas. Puedo completar el cuadrado o puedo usar la forma cuadrática. So I'm going to go ahead and use the quadratic formula. Voy a usar la forma cuadrática. So A is equal to 4, B is equal to negative 6, and C is equal to negative 1. So I'm going to use my quadratic formula. Now remember, this is your x. Esta es la x, pero voy a usar la t. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, entonces, now, negativo b menos 6 más o menos square root b squared negativo 6 cuadrado minus 4a is 4 and c is negative 1, negativo 1. Okay, so 2 times a, 2 por 4. So now I'm going to go ahead and continue. Voy a continuar. Este me va a dar positivo 6, más o menos. Okay. 36, 36. Negative times negative is a positive, and this gives me 16. 36, negativo, negativo es positivo. 36 más 16. So 36 plus 16. Okay, and then 2 times 4 is 8. 2 por 4 es 8. So now we just continue it. So t is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of 3, 4, and then that's 52, 52, okay? And there it is, okay? Now, you can go ahead and put this in a calculator, but I want us to practice working with our quadratics, okay, our radicals, okay? Let me see, is there a factor of 52 that we can use? 4 and 13, yep. Entonces este, como puede, if you can see, the factors of 52, and I'll do it over here, voy a hacerlo acá, is going to be 4 times 13. 4 times 13 is 52. Okay, 40 and then plus 12. So what's the square root of 4? It is 2. So this is going to give me, esto me va a dar 2 la raíz de 13. And we're going to divide it by 8. Lo voy a dividir por 8. 8 and 8. And you can see here we can reduce it. Esto lo se puede reducir. Divide by 2, we get 3. Divide by 2, we get 4. Divide by 2, we get 1. Divide by 2, we get 4. So now this, okay, t is going to equal 3 plus or minus the square root of 13 all over 4. Okay, now you need to practice that just because you're a professor, college, you're getting ready for college, you will be doing this kind of stuff. So now what do? Well, I'm going to go ahead and put that in my calculator and see what I get. Okay, now if you do that correctly, okay, you should get, let me see here, minus 6. You're going to get two answers. You're going to get t is equal to negative 0.151. And the other one, you're going to get t is equal to 1.651. And you notice which is our correct answer. It is this one because it's a positive. Remember, time is not negative. This is wrong. Esta no es la respuesta porque el tiempo tiene que ser positivo. Okay? All right, let's look at part B, parte B. How long before the ball reaches 12 feet? So, how long? Well, we're going to set it equal to what? 12 feet. Entonces, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Vamos a igualar esto a 12. So, negative 16t squared plus 24t plus 4. Set that equal to 12. Igualar a 12. Okay. So, now, entonces ahora, voy a resolverlo. I'm going to bring this guy over here. So, that's going to give me negative 16t squared plus 24t, and then plus 4 minus 12 is equal to 0. 4 minus 12 is negative 8, negativo 8, and so what's going to give us negative 16t squared plus 24t minus 8 menos 8. So now I have to go ahead and factor and solve. Entonces ahora tengo que hacer lo mismo. Tengo que factorizar, intentar y después resolverlo. Entonces aquí I can go ahead and take out, puedo sacarle un 8. I can take out an 8 from all of them. And I'm also going to take out the negative. Le voy a quitar ese negativo. So now, let's take out that negative 8. Quitarle ese negativo 8. Me queda 2t cuadrado, 2t squared minus 3t plus 1. Okay? And then here's the question. Can I go ahead and factor this? Okay? And it looks like you can. Y entonces sí se puede. 2t and t, and then 1 and 1, and they're both negative. Okay, so this gives you 2t squared minus 2 minus 1 minus 3 plus 1. So actually you're able to factor this one out nicely. Okay, entonces esto se puede factorizar. Entonces ahora lo vamos a resolver. So now we're going to set 2t minus 1 is equal to 0, and t minus 1 is equal to 0. Good, so now we're going to solve this. So this one is pretty easy. This one, t is equal to positive 1. So this one over here, if I bring the negative 1 over, it becomes a positive, and then divide by 2, divido por 2, Ok, me das la otra solución. So the answer is t equals 1 and t equals 1/2. So you have two solutions. Entonces hay dos posibilidades, hay dos soluciones. Y eso es perfectamente bien, and that's okay. Because remember, think about it. You have a ball. Aquí está 12 pies. It goes up and then it comes down. Entonces aquí, aquí y aquí. Cruza el 12 pies. So right here is where it crosses 12 feet. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and do one more. It says find the maximum height of the ball. You see that? La altura máxima. So for that one, you're going to get use x equals negative b over 2a. La altura máxima. Now remember, let's go ahead and get our equation. Vamos a usar nuestra ecuación. So that's going to be negative 16t squared plus 24t plus 4. Now remember, for max height, remember, this is your a is negative 16. B is equal to 24. And C is equal to positive 4. So if we go ahead and do that, okay, remember, we're using t as to represent the x. So we're going to use t equals negative, that's your b, 24, over 2 times a. What's the value of a? The value of a is negative 16. Okay, so what is that going to give me? Well, that's going to give me negative 24 over negative 32. Me va a dar 24 sobre 32. Okay. So what is 24 divided by 32? Okay. That's going to give me a positive. If I divide, voy a dividir. Divide by 8. Divido por 8. So that's going to give me 3. And that's going to give me 4. Okay. 3/4. So what does that mean? So now the t is equal to 0.75. 75 what? Seconds. Okay. Is that the maximum height? ¿Es la altura máxima? No. This is the time at which the height is going to be maximum. Esta es la altura donde te va a dar la altura máxima. So what you have to do, lo que tenemos que hacer es meter esto aquí y aquí. So to find the height, la altura, it's 0.75. Lo voy a tener que usar mi calculadora. We're going to use our calculator. So negative 16 times 0.75 squared plus 24 times 0.75 and then plus 4. Okay? And that's what you would do it. And then you're going to go ahead and put it in your calculator. Vamos a poner en la calculadora. Okay. And we should get that. And let me go ahead. Voy a poner en la calculadora. Okay. So 16 negative 16 times 0.75 to the second power. Okay. So that's going to give you negative 9. Okay. Plus 3/4 of 24, that should give you 18. Esto te va a dar 18 más 4. So this guy, 22 minus 9 is 13. Entonces la altura máxima de este proyectil es 13 pies. It's 13 feet. But you see what I had to do when they asked me for the maximum height? What do? I use this guy, my vertex formula, this guy, and then I solve it. Okay, now I plug my t, take my t and I plug it in here to my original equation, and that gives me, and that gives me my height. All right, guys? So hopefully that helps you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.